Quickly move to this now. The eThekwini Municipality continues to resample and monitor beaches with elevated E.coli levels. In its latest sampling, it found alarming E.coli levels at 6 of Durban's main beaches, which attract many tourists around the festive season and closed them as a result. How the wind and tides affect E.coli levels at Durban beaches, we find out more on this phenomena and are joined by Pringle, who is a senior lecturer of hydraulics and environmental fluid mechanics at the University of KwaZulu Natal. Justin, good to have you on the program this afternoon. I want us to start off by understanding the dynamics behind what we are seeing there. Could you elaborate on how wind conditions, underwater currents and stormwater drain flow contribute to these fluctuations in E.coli levels along Durban's beaches?
Yeah, so thanks for having me. So really it's a game of rain and wind. So whenever it rains, that water is going to land on the surface and it's going to be channeled into your stormwater drains or into your river systems. So your stormwater drains are collecting in your urban areas, are collecting, polluted, just naturally polluted sources, because our cities are polluted. That lands up in the stormwater drains, which then outfall into the sea. And then along our rivers, a lot of our wastewater treatment plants are situated along our rivers, and especially along Mgeni, whenever there's a breakdown, you've got raw sewage that discharges into that river, and then it is conveyed down that river and into the ocean. And then once it's into the ocean, that fresh water sits on top of the sea, so it's less dense than seawater, and the wind then moves it around. So if there's a very strong, in Durban specifically, if there's a very strong southwesterly wind, it's going to move that water up the coast and down the coast and vice versa. So that's why it's very important to sample and monitor the water regularly.
Let's speak to that point now, testing integrity of the water and the samples also taken. Given the comments on sudden spikes and drops in E.coli levels and also the scrutiny on testing integrity, how does the Wozolwandle platform address these concerns, and also what role does it play in providing real-time and accurate information to the public?
Yeah, so we developed, my colleague and I developed this idea in December, which is really based on a project that him and a student worked on about 20 years ago, where they wanted to investigate the water quality along our beaches. And what they found is that the sampling period, so every time you go and sample the water body, it was simply the time between samples was too long. So the E. coli levels, well, I shouldn't say E. coli levels, but the bad water, the pathogenic water levels can fluctuate quite significantly within that period. So what you really need to do is bridge the gap between sampling periods, and so that's where he developed this model. And we were talking last year in December about the state of the water and how no one really knew what was going on, and how, exactly like you're saying, the E. coli levels, which are E. coli is just an indicator for bad water, and the DFFE guidelines are very clear that you shouldn't only be looking at E. coli, you also need to sample another type of bacteria in the marine environment called Enterococcus. So simply basing the water quality on E. coli is a little bit limited. You need both, and then the problem is that the time it takes to sample the water is about 24 to 48 hours. So by the time that data gets to the public, that it is possible that water has been pushed away, which the research has shown, and that's why we've set up this platform, which is based on that model, that water quality model. So we've developed a platform that gives you real-time and forecast data of the water quality based on the E. coli levels, which is what we've seen from the eThekwini and Talbot labs. And then we feed every time there's an observation, we feed that into the model and update the parameters. So it's very similar to how a weather model works. So the model is there to bridge the gap between the sampling periods.
Pringle from UKZN, of course, giving us a bit more detail about the predictive modeling that they are using from some of the samples that are taken from Durban's beaches.